All right, so it's been a while since I did this show. The last one was with Graham that I deleted for personal reasons. It's that well, I'll leave it at. But welcome to No Skips Allowed, which is a show that I made because speedrunners have the misconception, in my estimation, that they think you can just skip straight ahead to the world record from zero. That's not really the case. And I also want to discuss some other things, speedrun related, that aren't just speedrun, because there's more to the speedrun than the speedrun. Did I diminish the word enough yet? I don't know. You tell me. So yeah, my guest here today is, I affectionately refer to him as Abysstian, but apparently he wanted to rename himself into Abbyssoft, right?
That's right.
Alright, so yeah, gonna talk about the most recent developments for like last year when it really took over with ACE, arbitrary code execution, or what's the other term? The SRM? I don't even know what it means.
SRM, stale reference manipulation. It's another
Right. That's
low level programming exploits.
Yeah, that's the word for it. And I believe like when it became completely like on people's radar was probably sometime late December 2019, and completely by early January with Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, so it has a crazy history going back to I think the first person to use Ace in a speedrun was Seth Bling when he broke Super Mario World with it.
I even remember that name. God damn, that's a G.
Yeah. This is only like 5 or 6 years ago now. I mean, there had been other instances of Ace. They did at a GDQ run in 2012. I think they used Ace to program Snake and Pong into Super Mario World. But for an actual credits for it, I think that Seth Bling was the first one to do that. And things just kept going from there, because once they found out, hey, we can do this in Super Mario World, well, what other games can we do this in?
Oh, yeah, right. Oh, I'm just looking at the YouTube channel right now. Yeah, he was actually the one to like get it randomly in like 50 seconds or something insane, right? And he was like, what the fuck, we just did it?
Yeah. And then like Mitch Flower Power. I'm not 100% sure if the Super Mario Bros. 3 Wrong Warp is an Ace exploit or not. I think it is, but I'm not 100%. But Mitch did that as well. So it's got a history. And then other games, a lot of Nintendo games at that, have just been completely broken with it. Ocarina of Time here, for my fans, Ocarina of Time has been the one that a lot of people know about, because there were some very notable videos made about that particular run, and it ended up not just breaking one game, but it broke two, because it broke Majora's Mask as well, which is very conceivable since they share a game engine and a lot of the same assets. So that those two games, and then like stale reference manipulation, which I don't know much about. I haven't done a video on stale reference manipulation, and I'm not, contrary to popular belief, I'm not a C or a C++ coder. Most of my coding I've done is in C# and a little bit of C++, but I'm not a wizard at it by any means. So stale reference manipulation is just when you've got something that a pointer, I think, which is I'm not going to get into the technical explanation, but stale reference is just when the game's trying to run something that's no longer in memory, to my understanding. So if that's wrong, someone point it out in the comments. But and then like more games have just been getting broken with it. I did the hot plate video for Dragon Quest 3. That's not an Ace exploit, but it's close to being an Ace exploit. The things they're doing there are almost the same. They're getting the game in a state consistently by modifying the temperature, and then doing a power off glitch to just get the RAM in a certain way. So while they're not writing their own code with the game, they're using the temperature of the console to fluctuate some values in memory that then let them do that glitch. So it's not, in the classical sense, it's not an Ace glitch, but it's pretty damn close.
Yeah, well, what's interesting, because this trivia definitely no one knows by now, but most games are actually just Super Mario 64 engine, and made into whatever you usually will play at the end of the day on the N64. It actually wasn't that much engine-wise revolutionary. Very interesting. No, yeah, it's absolutely no wonder that if you go from Ocarina of Time, lots of code. Obviously, if people have watched some history, will know that they had absolutely no time. I think they were given like just about a year or half a year.
Yep.
And they put out the beautiful game that's Majora's Mask. No, I actually don't have a strong opinion on it anymore. I kind of don't care.
It's the best Zelda game. I'll say it. It's the best Zelda game.
I think it's one of the better ones for sure. It also dealt with dark themes, and you can't do that anymore. So there you go. Immediately a G. Also, fuck Ocarina of Time.
No, both great games, but Majora's Mask definitely my favorite in the entire series. And you are right. Like the back in the day, you only made Nintendo games if they licensed their engine to you. So it's no surprise that a lot of these glitches can come just from the architecture of that engine.
Nintendo games are beautifully coded. Walls are merely suggestions. I mean, what? Yeah. Ace, I think, from memory, just from what I've heard, I think back in like 15 and 16, there have been theories about at least Majora's Mask. I believe that was the one. I covered this when I was on Rush like 2 years ago. It was a like 8,000 or something Ocarina place to activate the things there. That's like the earliest thing that I roughly remember. I think it's been way longer than just the Seth Bling thing. I know what you mean though in the sense of when it got popular, but I think it started like almost like half a decade and even more back, and that's how far Ace goes back in terms of discovery. And I think that's actually very interesting.
Well, I'll share some information from the video I'm working on right now. Ace actually goes back all the way to the 1980s on the NES with Super Mario Bros. And Tennis. That information didn't cross over into the West until I think around 2011, 2012, when an article by I think it was not Robert Wright, a former staff writer at Twin Galaxies wrote an article about it. And then you saw the article's gone. I can't find it. The only reason I know the article existed is because one of the videos of a guy doing the that particular Ace glitch with Super Mario Bros. And Tennis. There's a video, and he mentions that article in the video, but I can't find the article. I've searched and searched and searched. But that was around 2012 because that's when his video was up, and that's the earliest video I can find of what they did. Is the reason it works, like the reason this Ace glitch works. So I'll explain it. If you're playing Mario Bros. On the NES, and this has to be done with games made before 1985 for technical reasons, hardware reasons. If you're playing an early version of Super Mario Bros. On the NES and you pull that out of the console without turning off the power, there's RAM in the console itself.
Oh yeah, right. The stop and swap, right?
Yep, this is exactly it. This is a stop and swap from almost 40 years ago.
Jesus Christ.
So eat your heart out, Rare. So the RAM's still active in there. It hasn't decayed yet because the power hasn't been turned off. So if you pop in Tennis and then play some games in Tennis, you're actually going to, and the Tennis copy has to be from before 1985 as well. You're actually going to edit the RAM that's on the NES side of the game that's being played right now. So then if you take Tennis out without turning off the power, put Super Mario Bros. Back in, and then hit select or start an A to sort of quote unquote reset the game, you'll be loaded into a glitched world. And depending on what you do in Tennis, that glitched world will change every time. So that's an Ace glitch from almost 40 years ago, but Japan knew about for 30 years before the information made it over to the West. And then just recently, within the last year, a guy named 3Creepio made a patcher for this, and it has like 100 different glitch levels you can play.
Jesus Christ.
On ROM, so you don't have to do any of the cartridge swapping. He's just got them all loaded in for you. You can just play. I think Cosmic has a video of him playing them. So yeah, it's really interesting. So if we want to talk about like the first Ace in games, it's probably that. It was described to me as like common knowledge in Japan because a lot of the magazines at the time wrote about it once it was discovered, and just that information just never made it over here.
I just think it's so interesting, especially when you look at the Western speedrun history, that people like to forget everything. So yeah, this is actually really neat. I was thinking like maybe 10 years ago was like the earliest snippet that I heard, but well, almost 40. That's a lot.
Yeah, like
That's surprising to me.
and got us beat by several decades. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's one of the issues that definitely exists because most people can't access Nico Duga Duga. Oh no, it's Nico Nico Duga. There we go. The Japanese YouTube that they have, and people just don't use it. So lots of intel gets lost. Welcome to speedrunning, by the way. May I remind you who this trick was made by? It's called after him. Great. What if it's not? Doesn't matter. It's just history.
I think that's the greatest thing about speedrunning is that you have tricks that are either named like box skip because you're just skipping through a box, or it's named something ridiculous because it's like, well, like in the video I just made about Paper Mario Stop and Swap, like all of that was made possible because Morpheus went AFK with the partner menu open in the only room in the game that the glitch would occur in. So it's nuts that things like that happen where people just things that break the game are found completely on accident. Like it's not like he was looking for a particle overflow glitch; he just happened upon one.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Sort of just how discoveries happen. You don't really want to find them.
Yep.
Just kind of how it goes. Yeah. So that's when Ace started. So what do you want to hit first? Because we got a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. We can talk about where Ace should be on leaderboards.
All right. Let's start with the hottest topic then. I think that Ace has absolutely no fucking place on any serious speedrun leaderboard. Boom.
I don't think it should be in any percent, but I think it should be made in on its own. It should have its own section on the leaderboard because it's obviously popular, especially when it's first discovered. A lot of people are interested in it. I don't know if it has the staying power that an any percent or 100% category would have, just because it's not readily apparent to viewers what's going on when someone's doing an ace glitch. It's really cool to watch, and it's really cool to learn about. But if you're just like popping into a stream and it's like, what's going on? He's staring at a wall. Now he's taking out a boomerang. Why is he doing that? Oh, he's at the credits. What just happened? Like it's got a lot of like awe-inspiring effects, but I don't know if it has a long-term staying power to be very popular.
I mean, that's actually the thing. You just summed up why GDQ does this shit to speedrunning, and it's like, hey, this looks cool, right? So why don't we do it? Yeah, I can see why you would want it on the leaderboard. I personally don't see a reason for it at all. Maybe like all 5 or 6 people will go to it, and that's it. I don't see it as a category in terms of sports, because what do you have here? It's not a sport in that sense. You just rely on executing code and get the right input. It seems, I mean, speedrunning to bridge gaps is already a huge fucking task. And then you show someone Ace, and then someone says, "Yeah, Ace is totally legit," and it's just like, it's just a credit swap, dude. Mostly, that's not interesting. That's not sexy. What are you selling here? You're not selling anything sexy.
See, I disagree on that part, but I agree on like the first stuff that you said. So I would say that it should have its own separate category for the fact that you're not using the game to beat the game. You're not using the mechanics of the game, and like sure you can argue that like, well, is this movement glitch part of the game? It's like no, it's an exploit of the game. But Ace isn't an exploit of the game. It's an exploit of the programming language used to code the game and the hardware of the game in some cases.
The Mirror's Edge speedrunner right now has a goddamn PTSD flashback.
So yeah, you're not like. That's one of the reasons I don't think it should share an any percent on an any percent leaderboard. And there's a lot of people that are very divided on this issue. Just look at the Ocarina of Time leaderboard discussion going on right now about did Ace ruin this or should it be part of any percent? I mean, Torres stopped running the game when it was allowed on the any percent leaderboard, and I think he was first place at the time. So it's definitely something that's contentious and that people have strong opinions about. So I would separate it honestly. I could be wrong. I'm open to other ideas as to why it should be allowed, but my gut reaction says like this is so different and so esoteric that it's something that should be separated into its own leaderboard. And I think that's what they're doing on the Paper Mario leaderboard, because their version of Ace is so insane. For one, they have to use Ocarina of Time to even achieve their Ace. And then so it's literally a stop and swap style glitch, very interesting, complex one. And then I think the mods have all said, like, especially I think JCog said on the stream, it's like this definitely shouldn't be in any percent. And they haven't even added it to the leaderboard yet. There's no category for stop and swap on Paper Mario. And I think that's just because only 2 people have completed runs, and they're also hoping that it becomes there's a way that it's found to be done without Ocarina of Time. So I don't know. End of the day, my opinion, just make a separate category. Like, there's never been anything wrong that's happened or went terribly bad from just making a separate category.
So I'll just reach a few seconds back and say I think Lexi at the time was in the server and sent us the message by ZFG in which he defended making them both the same thing. And that was the day, so sometime in January or February, when I said, I'm no longer listening to anyone involved in the Ocarina of Time mod team because you all are insane fuckers, and I don't want to deal with you. I'm just gonna completely throw out your opinions because you're just full of shit. Imagine that. Crazy. No, I really didn't like what he said. Well, it should be the same thing because you theoretically still play the game. Ah, yeah, right. Right, I'm just using the game's code like in almost a cheat menu way, and it's just like, hey, it's still a skill test, right? Like MST and the other. Come on, get the fuck out. You can't be real with that.
Yeah, you play the game to exploit the compiler, in essence. But like, I understand their arguments, because some people are like, well, we've every time a glitch has been found, we've used it to push the time down, and this is just another glitch. So why should this one be any special? And it's like, that's an argument that does make sense. So like, I can see the 2 camps getting divided between those 2 things.
Now, here's the thing. There's a big difference between finding a minor optimization or a minor glitch that saves you like 30 seconds, and there's a big fucking world of difference between finding the barrier skip of Wind Waker. But now the barrier skip is just, credit warp. I'm sorry, you fuckers decided years ago that if you do credit swap in Ocarina of Time, that should be its own category. That isn't any percent. But with Ace, it's okay for you guys to just credit warp. What the fuck? You can't even keep your own rules straight. Holy shit, that's so mental to me. That actually pissed me off at the time. Now I remember, I'm just going back into it. What pissed me off so much is just like, yeah, well, credit warp isn't really because you need to make the final input on Ganon and stab him with your sword. What the fuck is this? You can't be serious.
There's an interesting thing with the Zelda credits warp as well, because on the 3DS remake, they don't fight Ganon. They just warp right to the credits from the Fire Temple.
And that's the category.
Yeah.
Holy
which
shit!
The question of what can, like, because I remember I spoke with someone about this before that's ran both games, and they even said this raises the question of what constitutes an end game state. Do you have to complete the final boss, or do you have to just warp to the credits? So at the end of the day, whatever we decide is arbitrary, but it's what makes sense for.
You know what? I'll actually go one step further. I just remembered this because this is so crazy. I try to forget about it as well all the fucking time. You guys make everybody watch the fucking intro cutscene that's like 3 or 4 minutes of each person's lifetime in the any percent. You could probably just make a save state in Link's tree and Link's house and start from there. Nah, you have to watch the opening because that's proper. Oh yeah, the final input is just now some Ace thing and you don't even beat Ganon, even though like almost half a decade ago, even heralded by then Cosmo Wright was like also like, yeah, we should probably kill Ganon. It's just like, yeah, well, fuck it, just do what it. Okay, you know what? If anyone's surprised why people cannot take speedrunning seriously, or when they look at it and you do this shit, like, what the fuck? Stay within the rules that you make. That pisses me off so much.
See, but I disagree, because in 10 years is a lot of time for things to change. And what speedrunning was 10 years ago isn't reflective of what it is now. I mean, there are people that have careers speedrunning now. Like, you can look at big streamers that speedrun for a living.
I'll give you the analogy because I started looking more at different esports and sports. Did we ever in football or soccer, depending on what you want to call it, did we ever change? Yeah, if you're just like inside of the goalkeeper's area and you could have made that shot, we'll give you a goal. What the fuck? You don't do that. You have to put the ball in. And if you decided that is what you want to do, stick to it. If you just change it arbitrarily, but nice, right? With Ace, perfect. That you can just do this now. Like, what the fuck? Who gives a shit?
I'll fight you a little bit on the sports ones, because 100 years ago in baseball was actually dying out. It's what they called the dead ball era, because the pitchers had such an advantage over the batters that no home runs were being hit for a few reasons.
Jesus.
They're allowed to use something called the spitball, which is effectively a tampered baseball. So they were allowed to spit tobacco juice or rub it with mud, do a lot of weird stuff that would make the ball change its trajectory in weird ways while it was moving towards the plate. Ballparks were bigger back then, so it was a lot harder to hit home runs, and they relied a lot more on stealing bases as ways of advancing to home plate. So home runs weren't being hit. So the league in 1920, and I think it was earlier than this, it might have been 1906 when they introduced the foul strike rule. So before that happened, you couldn't actually foul out. Like, a foul ball didn't count towards anything. And then they introduced the foul strike rule, which is a thing that also led to dead ball, because after 1906, you could then accumulate strikes as fouls. So you could get up to 2 strikes just by hitting foul balls, which gave pitchers a big advantage, because, hey, I can just throw shit that he's not going to be able to hit anywhere in the park that will let him get a run, and it will just foul out. And then they addressed that, like when Babe Ruth came around and started hitting bigger home runs, they realized that, if we want to get asses in seats and get people watching the game, they really want to see like the big flashy things like home runs and grand slams. They don't really care about technical pitchers. And like baseball was changed forever after 1920 when they banned the spitball and started making fields and stadiums shorter. So there definitely are. And then NHL again, they changed the size of goalie pads. I think they've done it twice in the last 30 years. They've changed the size of goalie pads.
Right, I heard about that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they've shrunken goalie pads. They've changed some rules around goalies. So goalies used to be able to play the puck outside of their crease, but now they've made it so you can only play it in your crease and in this trapezoid that they've made behind your net. They used to be able to play it anywhere behind the net they wanted, but they've taken that out of the game. And they've changed a lot. So in the sports section, they've changed a lot, and a lot of it has been, whether you agree with it or not, the reason stated for changing this stuff was for the health of the game from a viewer's perspective.
I mean, when you talk about baseball like that, it sounds a lot like Dream was there.
Hey, stay tuned. I do have a video coming out on the history of the spitball in baseball sometime this year. When, I don't know, but it will be there. But yeah, it is interesting, because I think like a lot of people see sports as like these rigid things made of stone that don't change, but there has been a lot of change in them.
There's a difference to me between changing some of these aspects versus you got to put still the ball in the goal.
That's always been, you're never going to change like the absolute goal of the game, even in baseball.
And like, that is, in my estimation, what they decided back then. You stab Ganon in the head. That's...
Yeah, and from a pure gameplay point of view, that makes sense, because if you're going to play the game, you should have to beat the boss. But like, hey, we can warp to the credits. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I want to say this, because this might be controversial, but I do not discredit this workload that these people do. I don't do any of that. I recognize the hard work and all the tech crazies that put in the time. Crazies meant lovely, by the way. Don't feel insulted too much. But you just can't say this is real competition in that sense if you just do credit warp, because credit warp is its own thing as well. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. Well, like I said, just make another category on the leaderboard. I don't run Ocarina of Time. I'm not going to tell them how to run their community. I have my opinion on like what's going on. But at the end of the day, I think the people in that community are going to try and make the decision that they think is right for that community.
Oh yeah, I have a lot of opinions on speedrun communities as well, and I think most of them are complete ball. But hey, they can do whatever they want to kill their game. Fair play, actually. Yeah, you're right.
Maybe they make a decision they think's right for the community, and it does kill the game. I mean, before we make these decisions, I don't think we know necessarily what will happen. That's part of the reason I made that video. Does speedrunning need democracy? Because it seems to me that once we make these decisions, they're never revisited. It's like a year can go by, and no one really wants to look at like the results of what this decision has led to, and it's never revoted on or anything like that. That's one of the things I think we could change or look at
Are you
doing differently.
Are you saying that speedrunning need the First Amendment?
No, not a First Amendment. Yeah, not a First Amendment. Like as pro First Amendment as I am, not a First Amendment. It just needs like a form of.
Yeah, I get
I don't
you.
want to feel like I don't know how to articulate what I'm trying to say, because I'm not saying it needs a full on like legal process for like how we're
Yeah,
gonna change.
I'm saying this tongue in cheek, obviously.
Yeah. But like at the end of the day, we're just playing games fast. And if someone like if a leaderboard says like we can't do this or we have to do this, I can go on my stream and do whatever the fuck I want to do. It just doesn't mean my run will be on the leaderboard. I can still put it on YouTube.
Yeah, you can also play soccer on your home lawn, and no one can tell you not to do that. But you will never play in the World Championship that way.
I will never play in the World Championship of FIFA, so I don't have to worry about that.
I know. I'm just telling you. This is how it is. Yeah, you can play however you want, but you're not going to play in a big stadium.
Okay. Right, but okay. I think we have two different ideas of where speedrunning is and should be, and I think we should talk about that. I think that'll be interesting because, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think your understanding is that speedrunning is growing into an esports scene.
It should be growing into an esports scene, but
Right.
there are plenty of factors right now, and plenty of people within speedrunning who are very similar to people that I see already, like from CSGO, because I do keep up with Richard Lewis on that. I see a lot of people like that also in League of Legends, in all the teams, and the corruption there. And quite frankly, yeah, I want speedrunning to be an esport, or at least have some games be good enough, have communities that can actually keep the game straight, that keep a good face, so they can be something like that.
So I don't know how far I want speedrunning to go as an esport, because I don't see it being a large scale thing like Rocket League or League of Legends. I think the biggest reason is that people already understand what it means to beat a video game, but then you're adding another level of complexity and obscurity on it when you also add the goal of we need to do this as fast as possible. And then, like I said, a casual viewer might come in and see all these glitches happening, have no idea what's going on, and just say, all right, time to tune out, time to go back to something that I can see and understand.
Yeah, that's the issue. That's why I'm a little bit opposed to what Ace is doing right now and how speedrunners is usually are handling it. You just don't want people to have fun. No, you... come on, dude. No one's saying that. It just makes it look so much legitimate. If you just have credit options, it's like, yeah, nice, cool. It's like cool for watching it twice a year. So, hey, if you like GDQ, you'll love that shit. I think it's destroying speedrunning. It makes everyone in it look like a fucking idiot. And I've been talking to a lot of people from esports and other sectors, and they'll pretty much say, yeah, speedrunning, it exists. Great. Thumbs up.
See, but on the other side of that coin, you have people that have made a legitimate like streamer living off of speedrunning.
Oh, definitely. There are
guys that had been here for quite a while and still go. I mean, Ludwig was a speedrunner before he became, I think, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I'm
Admiral Barrow too.
Yeah, like a lot of guys started out speedrunning on their streams, and now some of them don't do it anymore. I mean, Trihex will throw up a timer now and then, but I don't think he actively goes for world records anymore.
No, I'm sorry. Trihex is now in the crowd with Nah, I'm not gonna say that. That's too much. But he hangs out with Hassan Piker. So you know what? He found his niche. I think the GDQ that he went.
I don't know who that guy is, but
you don't want to. Nah, don't worry about it. It's getting a little bit too spicy here, but I think after that run when he had this scripted speech that leaked, I believe, when was it 2018 or something like that? He just slowly faded out. I'm sorry. Come on, continue.
Yeah, no, but like there are guys, and then you see this in like esports where, well, League of Legends is a good one. Like, what happens to someone after they stop playing competitively? A lot of the more popular guys will stream, but not everyone has that option. And they just keep playing the same game they've been playing, and do well at it. Like Cutie Pie, Sneaky, they've done pretty. I haven't followed League for 5 years, but they do pretty well with their streams and YouTube content.
Oh yeah.
I don't have the vision, or I don't see a future where speedrunning becomes this giant esport like thing. And there's another reason for that. It's that the companies that own these don't seem to want to put any effort into making it look as something legitimate. And that's a legal problem you'll actually run into, because at the end of the day, they own what happens with these games. And if someone at Nintendo said, like, we don't want our games streamed anymore, tough luck for everybody. If that was the case 10 years ago, Nintendo did not let you stream a lot of their new games.
Oh yeah, especially about Nintendo. Yeah, man, I wonder why they're doing away with Smash so much. Yeah, I wonder what that could be. I'll figure it out one day. Might be just a minor issue though. I'm not sure.
Are you talking about Melee?
Yeah, I'm obviously talking about the I call it the summer of pedophiles that leak out from Smash. It's really weird why no one wants to affiliate with that. And I think you will see much the same that most developers, if they look like a little bit into speedrunning, be like, yeah.
I don't follow the Melee scene too much, but I know a little bit of what you're talking about, because the stuff of Mr. Wiz, Evo.
Oh yeah, that actually was like way late into it. That he
Yeah,
Jesus.
So like whatever happened with Mr. Wiz happened. I don't want to go into details of it too much, but I don't think that stops that sort of thing stops companies from.
You also have the.
Well, just 1 second, because Sony just bought Evo.
Oh yeah.
So
rip Evo.
Well, rip Evo, but that's an instance of a company getting involved in like an esports scene big time. They wouldn't have bought this if they didn't think it was profitable or not worth their while. Which is a big move for Sony, because Sony makes consumer electronics. They're not known for making events for people. So it's very interesting that they're moving in that direction.
The FGC is one of the worst scenes in existence. The amount of scumbags, and not only like just pedos and those criminals, the amount of scumbags in the FGC. Yeah, it makes sense that Sony is buying it right now when they're losing the track so much. Great.
Well,
no, the other thing that you're also probably just not pointing out right now is the lack of infrastructure. What is their infrastructure for speedrunning right now? There is nothing.
Speedrunning doesn't have the Cannon brothers, so
yeah, that's pretty much just no one there doing anything. I mean, you have this cool guy called Frederick Lidholm. Oh, sorry, Lidholm, who runs.
Get into your personal beefs with Eden.
Dude, if you think this is a personal beef, by the way, you don't understand. Like, nobody who thinks that this is just a personal beef with Edenall and me will understand this. Here's the thing. His BTRL is super nice, but has he developed anything for SM64 ever since that one? I mean, he banned Cheese later on when he was inconvenient, and it was an issue that he didn't even address. Congratulations. Well fucking done. But what has he done since for that scene? Okay, what's the next game he went to? I don't even remember. I only remember Doom. What did he do after Doom? Well, he kind of let Doom drop. Then he had some issues with Kaspersky because some of the players were like, yeah, by the way, I don't want my face to sponsor this thing. Thanks very much, Eden. Very well done by BTRL. Like, amazing team. Amazing work from the team at ESA. And what did they do with Spelunky after? Yeah, there's a big leak right now going on, right? Man, love it. I love it, dude. So much. Where they don't even lay any pathway. They come in, they use the game as a flash in the pan, and move on. What do you mean? Of course, there's no infrastructure. The only people that are doing right now anything, GSA apparently. GSA are the only ones who are doing anything. GSA still have the Super Mario Maker 2 League, even though, it's kind of that right now. I think COVID really wrecked them. Celeste died, and this was sort of predictable. If anyone has followed the Overwatch League, which was pretty much Frankenstein into existence, Celeste was very heavily supported by the dev, and they gave a lot of the big pots out. And the moment they stopped, you could see TGH jumped off. Everyone else pretty much jumped off because the money went away.
So I will talk about Celeste. I don't want to touch any of that Break the Record Live stuff, but I think Celeste failed because it is a 100% input-based game. There's no RNG at all. So there's no... And I think that takes away from the tension of watching a live run where the viewer has some regard of, hey, is this going to happen this time? And how will he react to it? As opposed to, oh, he just made a mistake. Now his best possible time is this. I think that heavy execution games, to the point they have no RNG, they're really impressive to watch, but I don't think they have the long-term staying power. And to use a sports analogy, if you're playing hockey for one, you're a defender, you don't know what the attacker is going to do. That's the RNG right there. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if he's going to pass or if he's going to try and do a hot dog move to get around you. You don't know. And that's what makes it exciting for viewers, is you don't know. Because if it was all planned out, if you knew everything that could happen and when the outcome will be decided, like in a Celeste run, if you lose like 20 seconds in one spot, you pretty much know the run's over. But you don't know that in a live event that has some form of RNG. I think that's very important for longevity and for a viewing experience.
I think the format, especially for Celeste, will be important because I think it's actually the perfect game for that. It's like SMB1. I think these games are very ideal. But you need to have races. You need to have it in a 1v1 because there is zero interaction between these. I think these games should be the ones that we should push.
So SMB1, I think, has stayed alive so long because it was one of the first speedruns, and it's got the staying power of being the very first big hit Nintendo game.
Yeah,
it's got star power. It's got all that stuff, and it is all execution at this point. But it has glitches in it as well. So there is that factor of, will runner hit the glitches this time, or as they've just started adding, like they're down to like the last glitch possible to save time with a human, I think. And it will happen soon. Like, that game will be solved soon, which is part of the mystery and wonder of that game, of what's going to happen when this game is solved. What do they do? Do people just keep tying the record? Or what I think will happen is you'll see the rise of the left plus right category. I think that people will just start filing down that nub in their controller so that they can run the game and use left plus right inputs for some added time save, because once it's solved, there's nothing left to do. So we might as well just start modifying our hardware to keep going. And there is precedent for that. Super Mario Kart, they file down the nub underneath.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yep.
I remember.
They file down the nub. They've been doing that for the last 15 years. And if you talk to those guys, a lot of them that still run, that have been running for these decades, have said that it's the only reason they kept running, because it adds a lot more skill and options to the game.
I actually disagree with like modifying especially the input and the controllers in such ways.
Well,
it's a little bit of a headache.
They'll just say like, the controller after use will just naturally be able to do that, so we just do it anyway.
Yeah,
it's like,
that's fair enough.
Talk to the guys in Super Mario Kart. Abney uses a really beat up and rough controller to run. He doesn't like a pristine condition controller when he's running. He wants the stick to have a little bit of give to it.
Yeah, well, obviously you want to have a controller if you're playing with one. No matter what you play, you want to play one that you're used to. Otherwise, you're gonna be super off. Right.
So in the Super Mario Kart, or in the Mario Kart 64 instance, you'll have a lot of the top runners have different, I should say, needs or preferences for the controllers they use. And I think it's a bad idea to just standardize the equipment they're using across the spectrum. So actually, I have no problem with the the modified controller hardware. But if you're gonna start modifying consoles, that's when I think some more categories should be made.
I think that controller modification, if that, I think I remember that as being legit. Okay, that's fair game. I mean, knock yourself out. But my other problem with SMB is, I mean, many people, of course, who follow speedrunning don't have any idea of how you spend. What's the term? Completely lost it now. Not social credit. Not social credit. You know, the thing that politicians use. Goddamn. Social capital, right? Social capital. And so Super Mario Bros. Last year with the Lukuki thing and Trio 5, I think, they just decided, you know what? We'll go into debt spending. And just like the US government and many banks in Europe, well, they don't actually care for paying back. I mean, they don't actually want that money back, right? So who cares? So SMB1 just decided, you know what? We'll spend it all on this one thing. The dream situation is going on right now. No one's paying attention to it. It's great. I think SMB1 has completely pissed away its integrity with how they treated Lukuki and Trio 5. I think that is completely irreparable. The entire mod scene is completely... How do you come back from that? You fuck so over.
What are you specifically saying with Lukuki?
Well, he was formerly a cheater in Mario Kart DS. He came back after 2 years and started running SMB1, and he got a WR pretty damn fast. And that was held in limbo for 4 months. Almost 5 months. Because they weren't sure if it was legit or not. Are you here? And here's the other thing that gets me, and this is why I'm gonna be a dick, and I'm gonna say,
well, hang on. About that record though. So the mod team deliberated for 4 months, and then came to the decision. So you disagree with the decision they came to?
I disagree with the amount of time spent on a 5-minute speedrun and less that you take about 5 months for that. Yeah.
Okay, so it was the process you were
yeah, the process
more than the outcome. Okay.
I know, right? It's crazy. Maybe sometimes the process is more important than the outcome.
Well, that's not the point I'm making.
I know, but I want to be a ding.
Yeah, it took them a while. I think for a record that prestigious, it should take them some time. The other thing we got to remember, like no one on that mod team gets paid to do what they're doing.
I don't give a shit about that. I don't literally give a shit. I'm sorry, if you're on that mod team, I don't get paid. Fuck yourself. You're on the mod team, then step down if you can't do it. Simple, right? But you're saying we're corrupt. Ooh. Oh, Cosmic, come on. Get a fucking tissue.
I think you're putting too much responsibility on something that A is a hobby and B they take time out of their day to do.
I'm putting responsibility on people who are moderators who want that responsibility. I didn't put you there. Who put you there? If you don't want to be there, step down. Simple, right? I don't want to do that. Oh, come on, no.
No. I'm gonna fight you on this one because a time requirement. People that do moderate. They're doing it because they like the game. They're doing it because, hey, the game does need moderation. Leaderboards need moderation. Otherwise, there's nothing. There's no integrity involved. And two, I'm on the leaderboard for a moderator for a couple different games, and sometimes I'll just let runs sit there for a while because I don't have time to look at them. I make sure I watch every run that I'm going to verify. Maybe not the entire thing, but I'll look at the parts I know are likely to get cheated. I'll make sure A, start time is correct, B, end time's correct, and C, that they followed the rules.
All right, so should we check?
I'm not going to spend 2 hours of my day on runs when I for one I got money to make, and two, like I got family responsibilities. So if I was getting paid, different story, but.
Hey, wanna take a look at the amount of members on the SMB1 mod board right now, or is that inconvenient for anybody? No, it's about 20 people. Yeah, 20 people can't do it in 4 months.
Right, they have 20 people, but that's 20 people that have to look at that run. They have to deliberate over that run. They have to go back and forth about, hey, what have we checked? What haven't we checked? Maybe the timeline did take a while.
You know what the thing is? You know what the thing is and why I disagree so much? It's because moderators can just upload a run and use a tick box that says auto-verify. Nifsky probably did that because his record was up the same day without any deliberation. Just the same day. Just like that. When he said, well, we gotta make sure they're all legit when we look through them because we get interviewed. Are you joking right now? You're not taking any time for that and it just goes up the same day. Oh, well, we trust Nifsky. Oh, cool, we're going back to the honor system. You know what? I'll just do what we did back then. I'll just write in my record time and, hey, it was printed, so it's legit, right? Are we doing that again?
Do you want to go back to spreadsheet leaderboards? Because I really don't.
Oh, I think at this point we have to. We have to consider something like that. Because we can't trust these guys.
No, the collectivization of leaderboards is better than having everything away, especially if you want to bring attention to this. Like, ask a casual what Deer Tier is, and they're going to have no idea. But, like, we know what it is. It's a Super Metroid leaderboard. But they wouldn't know where to find it or what it is. So, I think Speedrun.com, for all its vices and all the terrible ads they seem to want to run now, it does have its purposes.
Oh, I remember when people were telling me, you don't know if Elo will make it worse or better, just wait. And I'm just like, okay, I waited for like a year. They only make it worse. Nah, you're right. Nah, the thing that specifically, to bring it back to SMB1, what bothers me is that 20 people had to deliberate for that long. They had some showings of incompetency with Baum, apparently. Something about him having his attempts even uploaded to his YouTube. They apparently didn't ask and he didn't something like that as well. It's just, so here's the thing, either you're corrupt or you're incompetent. And I don't know which is worse.
Well, how long should it have taken?
Apparently you can just get it up the same day, right?
No, I'm asking you for a record from a former cheater. How long should it have taken them to verify?
Apparently it could just go up, right? That's literally my counter argument. I don't care about that.
I'm not asking you how long Nifsky's record took to go up and then using that as a measuring stick. I'm saying how long should it have taken them to deliberate over that record? It
should probably just be a month. It's a 5-minute run. You can go over that with the mod team so quick. It's speedy zoom.
Okay, so a month. That should be the standard then for how long these records should take. So
we should set a standard maybe for something like this. Yes, maybe we should think about that in general.
See, I think that's a better argument to have than just calling them corrupt and incompetent, because you're not going to get anywhere with that.
I don't care. I don't even care if I want to get anywhere with that. If they do this shit, they discredit themselves. I don't have to do anything. You just calling. They are corrupt by just acting like that. Where's the integrity there? They don't have any. They spent all that capital there. It fucking pisses me off.
But what's your goal with that then? Do you want them to change? Because they're not going to change if you just call them corrupt and they have no integrity. You got to open a dialogue. Is my point.
I'm just going to open a dialogue. I'm just going to say, well, okay, nice with SMB1. We can no longer trust you, and that's it. What else can you do? I know. People are like, oh, maybe you should offer an alternative solution. Nah, fuck it, burn it down. Start again. Burn it the fuck down. I'd rather have nothing than have something like this, which you essentially always have to deliberate over. Is this gonna be legit? Nah, fuck this. I've seen too much in speedrunning. I've been also around the block for like 8 or 7 years, and I've seen so much of this. I'm like, you know, if you're asking me if I'd rather had something or nothing, I think I'll go with nothing. Because this looks really fucking bad. They spent all that social capital on that, and Nifsky gets to run, and they don't even hold it for like a day. Or just go up. It looks so bad. I mean, there's always going to be some in-group preference if you already know the name. Okay, but if Cosmic comes out with a statement like, well, we're not corrupt, we just have to take our time because our leaderboard gets in papers and we get interviews. Yeah, well, then maybe actually make sure that what you're talking about there is how you act. Because I'm not going to listen to what you say, I'm going to listen to what you do. And you doing this says a lot more.
I'm ready for another topic. I don't have any more energy to argue about the mods of Super Mario Bros. 1.
Oh, don't worry. I can I can argue with you about every different mod. Okay, so let's talk about the stuff then. Stuffing and Dragon Quest 3, right?
Yep. What one did you want to talk about? The hot plate or the new stuff?
Oh yeah, I think the new stuff is that this is no longer needed, right?
Yeah, so they've gotten rid of the hot plate. When I say they, I mean Pirohiko. He's the one that researched all this and figured it all out.
Oh, thank God.
They've, yeah, some people know Pirohiko. He's really well known in Japan. A few people know him outside of Japan because he's done some very prolific task runs of some games, Earthbound most notably. He's figured out that because again that Japan had this knowledge that you could just do Ace from the 1980s with Mario Bros and tennis. He first used it to I think 3 years ago in 2018. He used Dragon Quest 3 to break Dr. Mario in like under a minute or something like that.
Jesus.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff. So then he's like, after he did the hot plate glitch, he's like, wait a minute. If I can use Dragon Quest to break Dr. Mario, why can't I use Dr. Mario to break Dragon Quest? So he then started on a way to do that. And what he did was, and I'll have a video out on this in the next 2 weeks. What he did was starts with Dragon Quest, gets to a certain point in the game, saves the game, but pulls the cartridge out while it's saving. This gets a what he calls a memory glitch going, but all it is the same thing as Super Mario Bros. In tennis. He just has specific
the stop
RAM
and swap,
values.
right?
Yep, he's got specific RAM values loaded into the RAM on the NES. So then he pops in Dr. Mario, does a couple things. He pops in Dr. Mario just to get the Dr. Mario data loaded in the RAM on the NES. Then he pulls that out and puts in Kirby. He does some very specific things in Kirby that allows him to break the cursor in Dr. Mario, and that's where the fun begins. So then he pulls Kirby out and puts in Dr. Mario. And then with the broken cursor, he can freely edit the values he needs to edit to create the payload he wants to execute in Dragon Quest 3, but he's not done yet. So when he puts Dragon Quest 3 back in, he's got some technical stuff to do. And then he'll pull that game out again. Console's on the entire time, by the way. He'll pull that game out again, put in Final Fantasy 1, and he'll use Final Fantasy 1 to get a level 0 character in Dragon Quest 1, or in Dragon Quest 3, which is very important for technical reasons I won't explain. And then he'll finally put in Dragon Quest 3 and use a glitched item to execute his RAM payload and perform the end game sequence. It's really, really cool. And it's one of the crazier, like, yeah, the Paper Mario and Ocarina of Time stop and swap's cool. This one's just like using multiple games to break one game. He uses 2 consoles and 4 different games, so it's incredible to watch, and I'm happy that I'm gonna get to tell that story.
Yeah, that is indeed a little bit more interesting and less worrisome than this stuff. And I want to segue into this with something else. But the hot stuff, what exactly was done there? I think you just put the console on this.
Yeah,
That's
so
just
I
it,
think I
right?
talked about this earlier, but he just put the console on a hot plate, get it to a certain temperature. You can even do it with ice packs, but the hot plate's cooler, pun intended.
Oh
God. So you throw it on the hot plate, get it to a certain temperature. You actually do the same glitch you do to start off the stop and swap one, where you'll go save at the king and then turn the console off at a certain time, and due to some hardware security that I won't explain, it does the same thing. It just keeps values loaded in RAM so that when you boot it back up, you've got a max level character, and you just warp to the end of game, kill the boss, and then GG. So yeah, the hot plate glitch is pretty cool too for that.
Yeah.
They just before you take the conversation back over, they've got they do have a category called anything goes with this. So this isn't on any percent. This isn't on a regular category. It's literally called anything goes. They can do whatever the hell they want to beat the game as fast as possible.
You know, you actually probably just gave a good solution to that whole shebang. I think that's genius. Yeah, I'm gonna take back over because I want to make this into a larger point. So we'll go into the disc grease bikini bottom on the Xbox, right? Yeah.
Yep. Super cool.
So they just put grease on the disc, right?
Yeah, Shift called it gamer gunk. He just used his own sweat. I think the other guy had like grubby fingerprints. The first guy that did this, he had like his fingerprints on the disc that had it really dirty. And I mean, this is one that I'm surprised they haven't actually like discovered or found before. Because after hearing it, I'm like, this has just been sitting there for however many years. Like so many other games could have had this happen. And it's just all it is screw with the laser that reads the disc. That's it. It just makes their one of their very difficult glitches more consistent. Um,
Oh yeah,
should it
right.
be should it be in any percent? Um, I'm gonna say like I say no. Like just make a separate category of this because you're modifying hardware. You don't want to open up that rabbit hole.
Yeah,
Just
that's
make an anything goes category.
that's the larger point that I want to make, because when I hear this stuffing and this grease on the disc, I'm becoming a little bit worried about, again, some of the optics when people hear that. I mean, I also remember a copy pasta from someone who just said he just puts his ball sack on it and that works too, apparently. I just really think that's not a really good precedent. You might screw with your console and stuff like that, and especially the stuff. I think that's a little bit too far in my estimation anyway. It makes it look really, really, really awful.
Um, as far as optics go, like Shift's video has done phenomenal. So people are definitely interested in seeing that, especially like the larger casual audience.
Yeah, thank God.
Where longevity, like as far as longevity, like I don't see it being a real thing in speedrunning for like a lot of different reasons. Like I doubt you're going to see Final Fantasy VII runners smearing shit on their CDs just to try and make things more consistent. And honestly, with that kind of glitch, and especially like the hot plate glitch, the fact that that just doesn't break the game completely, and the fact that it does something beneficial, like letting you like do something more consistent or beat it quicker, it just astounds me. Because
Yeah,
normally
that's
when you start messing with hardware, shit just doesn't work.
I never thought about it that way, to be honest. It is impressive, but I just worry about, people want to try this, people will fuck up, they'll destroy their console, and I'm just a little bit, do you really want to go this way? But yeah, the hardware manipulation is the other point that I think is absolutely brilliant, because yeah, you're now fucking with the hardware. I don't know if we should.
Yeah, I don't know. When I spoke with Pirohiko with using Google Translate because he doesn't speak English and I don't speak Japanese, we he I think he's I'm not sure and I've never asked, but I think he must be an electrical engineer or something because he was sending me links to different universities that have studied the effects of hardware and temperature and all this other stuff at like a PhD level, and like he's like, here's where I got this idea, here's how I knew this would work, and it's like, man. we're really pushing the limits of speed running and human knowledge with this. It's kind of cool.
I mean, this is sort of part of the larger point that I made in a video a good while back. I think I actually ended up deleting it. Yeah, I had to. About speedrun brilliancy, because I do think this sort of goes back to, like, there's two differences to speedrunning. One is the praxis, and one is, of course, the theory, which is analysis and distillation. And because in the last 5 and 6 years, more and more of the nerds sort of grew up and went into the tech field, they started looking into the ROM data. They started looking at the RAM. They started to understand how to shift things from A to B. So yeah, especially if you keep this in mind and you add something like this with electronics on top of it, yeah, of course, now it makes perfect sense why this is just coming out now, because this knowledge with all of the games and the accessibility behind it, that really wasn't a thing. Like, yeah, you had the ROM, but people didn't really know how to read it. And now you have like really all these tech nerds who can just look into that and understand it and reverse engineer it. I find that to be pretty goddamn amazing.
Oh, I wouldn't make videos about it if I didn't find it amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. I just have the thing that, yeah, I think it should probably go into like the anything goes category, because you can distill it from there as well, like what method you're using. But I feel like the word hyperconflating is like the right thing, because I feel like at some point, especially like once you had like to stop and swap and just like an Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, where you literally just open up a developer cheat menu, is this really still a speedrun? Because a speedrun to me still has to like pass some mechanics checks and some gameplay checks. And while there are some, but is it really?
Yeah, no, that's where I agree with you with. Like, I think Ace should be in its own category because it's an Ace speedrun. It's not a speedrun of the game itself. So
Yeah, that's where I think probably, because I think especially in speedrunning you have always super low level and poor discussions on these things because everyone just uses the KISS formula, keep it simple, stupid, and they kiss it to death instead of looking at the minutia and looking at some of the philosophy behind it of why, for instance, why we think sports can have excellency, why there are great sports players, and all that sort of stuff. And I think if you put Ace over it in such a brutal way, it's like, I mean, yeah, you can play the game however you want, but you are still taking away from the original intent of what I personally would say is a speedrun, because it's a skill expression.
it's probably the closest we'll get to having a steroids discussion in an esport. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, there's no other real analogy for it. So like that's probably a bad one because we're not really enhancing.
Right. Now I know what you mean.
Yeah. So
Okay, that's genius. That's a banger.
so yeah, I don't know. If people want to run Ace, let them run it. But again, I think like just my thoughts. I think it should be on a separate leaderboard. Keep it out of any percent and 100%. So
Yeah, anything goes. I think this will part because I make my titles now with 2 or 3 words. I think there will be one of it. Anything goes. Wonderful.
well, and like another thing from like the Japanese side of things, they don't really run games with glitches that much. They're pretty purist when it comes to speedrunning games.
Yep.
It's I've been told that by not just the Japanese runners, but a few people that have interacted with them. And if you look at their leaderboard histories, they don't use a lot of they don't utilize a lot of like game breaking glitches. They'll use exploits.
It's sort of also a cultural issue, as it is anywhere and everywhere in sports. They still respect the game. I mean, most of us when we grow up, we either use Cheat Engine or Game Genie or whatever, and once or twice seeing a game broken so brutally, you're like, revenge. I get that whole angle, but I still think you need to have some proper thing. I mean, yeah, it essentially.
There need to be rules to speedrunning, and
yeah,
the degree and scope of those rules, I guess, is going to be debated and disagreed upon by a lot of different people. And
as long as people have blind deference to GDQ and SRC, you will never have this in any meaningful capacity. Because they are going on some really crazy shit since like last summer, with literally Stalinization of leaderboards, just disappearing people off of them. It's crazy what's happening right now. I know no one wants to talk about it that way. It's kind of inconvenient. I know. That's why I'm doing it.
I'm the wrong person to talk about that topic with.
Yeah, I know that's why I personally put myself in a position where I'm like, you know what? I don't want to go to either of these things. So you know what? You can go fuck yourself. I don't care. I don't want to go to your fucking disgusting things. I don't want to be part of that.
See, I've been to GDQ and like I have a blast at GDQ. I've only been once because the last one I went to was right before they.
Well, I mean, sure. If you go there for the convention sense, because it's not a speedrun, it's just a convention. Just call it that. Come on. What's the hold up here? It's really just a convention to me, in my estimation. But
that's what I see it as a convention. Like the live event's like a convention, which I think it's held in a convention center for God's sake. So I don't think anyone will disagree with you that it's like that. It's just a bunch of people hanging around the convention center playing games really quick.
Yeah, I find that to be legit.
Yeah, like this. Like you've probably I don't know if I've never been to ESA. I've ran into an ESA, but never been to one because I only ran online, but.
Don't worry. I'm not going to ESA anymore either.
Well, yeah, but like that's not my point.
I know.
Point is that, like those events. So I think that those events are on the decline. Like I know GQ's setting new donation records every time they have an event, and that's really cool. It's good to give money to charity. I don't like, for me, I don't have like the same reverence I had for those events, and maybe, and like my attitude towards that changed, like the attitude change I had happened after I ran at one. It was just like, and maybe it's because it wasn't a live event that like I didn't have the crowd experience or anything, but I was just like, that was cool. But I want to do it again. Like maybe, like I'd love to show off like a stop and swap or a hot plate glitch at a live event. I think that would be really cool to do.
Oh
But
yeah, then it's really better. You're nice and quiet. I know. I get you. I get
yeah,
you.
it's one of those things. So like, I don't know.
This is, by the way, also the same in esports. You can't go and talk against certain people. I mean, in America, it's mostly fine too, but the further you go east, the more you get into mafia territory, and then you should be careful. I know, because they really pull a gun on you. Don't worry. It's really dark. It's really dark. Nah, I just don't care, so I put myself in a unique position. I also probably should have severed from Rush earlier, so I can be in this position where I'm like, what you gonna do? Ban me from the event? Oh no! Oh, my heart.
Yeah. See, like if because you do a lot of you're involved a lot more in the controversial stuff, and you don't mind saying what's on your mind and adding some expletives in with it.
Yeah, I
And
think that's good.
like that's the attitude you gotta have if you're gonna do the stuff you're doing. You're gonna get banned from these events, and you either have the attitude of like, it doesn't matter if I do, I'm just gonna keep saying what I want to say, or you shut up and then keep going to those events. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a thing I hate. I mean, no, I don't want to get different that.
It just, like, from our discussion today, it just seems like you're yearning for like the days of 2005, 2008, where like the internet was like this wild west as events were starting to form.
Well, from what people are talking about, because I was not that far and deep into the internet. I didn't have like this level of English I have right now until very, very late, and I still was just consuming German YouTube and German content. It wasn't until like 12, I think I was watching Neviets running Catherine. That was my first exposure to speedrunning, and apparently I'm still here. I mean, not to get too far out, but I think post the Apollo Legend thing, I was very close of just saying, you know what? Fuck this. But instead, I just completely snapped and decided, you know what? I'm gonna go the other way for a while. Gonna have some fun. Gonna try to have good discussions. And that's why I created also No Skips Allowed. That is, unfortunately, I couldn't get many people on, and I didn't do that much. But, you know, we're all lazy. We all have our vices.
Yep. No, I don't know. I'm running out of time here, but I enjoyed talking about the things that
all right.
I had something to say about.
So how much time do you have left now?
10 minutes.
Oh, 10. Okay. Yeah. I think we covered everything, right? We talked about
the ace stuff's really all I wanted to go over. That stuff's endlessly interesting to me.
Yeah, that's legit. Yeah, I think we hit everything that I also had on. Yeah. I think was good. I mean, I had my rants. You could say what you could say. I said what I said.
You definitely had your rants. I have no comment on them.
No, it's better that way. You just... I mean, this is like when Summoning Insight is on, when they had a lot of pro players on, and Foreign and Monty, they can just say what they want. They don't really care that much. But for people like you, it's always better sit there, nod, and, you know, don't engage with it too much. Yeah, you want to plug anything?
I like telling stories about things. I'm not too much for like I think I made this more clear.
Yeah, what?
I just, the drama stuff just doesn't interest me at all. It's like I don't want to get comments about it. I don't even want to talk about it that much. It's just like, if people have issues with other people events, they can have them.
The thing is, sometimes it evolves.
Sorry,
it evolves into incidents like Apollo Legend, and I would like to very much prevent that. And I know we're going mad with social media right now. And for most people, cancellation seems to just mean, go kill yourself and hope you do it. Keep their hands clean, by the way. It's fucking disgusting. But yeah, that's sort of that. You want to plug anything? Let's just, you know what, let's end on a more fun note when you plug.
Just my YouTube. Find me at Abbyssoft, ABYSSOFT. If you Google Hot Plate Glitch or Paper Mario Stop and Swap, you should find me. I've did videos on both of those.
Yeah, I think I'll plug those in the description later. All right, yeah. That was No Skips Allowed, the new first episode. Figure out a little better in interviewing and interrupting people, so I'm glad I learned something.
Yeah, no, it was a fun discussion.
All right, and I think that's it.
Perfect. All right, I'm gonna go grab a late lunch.
Enjoy your lunch. Okay, bye.